Welcome back. It's the Vegas Stakes, Sharp and Shapiro. Again, a reminder to you, this show is moving 9 a.m. to noon, and that will be starting August 12th. And the guy we have with us on the line right now, of course, we do this every Wednesday, Michael Avenatti, also agreeing to be in studio on August 12th. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and he joins us right now. So let's get in the ring with Michael Avenatti. JD, are you ready? Are you ready?
I was born ready for this, Brian.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Michael, how's it going, man? Good to hear from you again.
Hey, Michael.
Gents, how are you guys?
Doing great.
Doing good. Okay, so let's start off with what took place a couple hours ago in North Carolina at this ridiculous Donald Trump rally, okay? I know you mentioned it on your Twitter feed. I am appalled, as I'm sure you are, as people in the crowd in North Carolina chant out, "Send her back," in regards to Omar. What is your reaction to that? Because I think it's appalling.
Well, I'm disgusted by it. And, frankly, every American, I don't care where you line up, right, left, center, what your position is, every American should be disgusted by this. I never thought in my lifetime that I would view the President of the United States basically leading a chant and egging people on to engage in racism. Let's be clear. Donald Trump is a racist, and he's a bigot. And, guys, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The 2020 race is going to be an absolute cage match. It's going to be a battle for the fight of this republic and for America as we know it. And I know some people may think that that is an overstatement. I'm exaggerating. I'm not. If you have observed, if you have not been living under a rock over the last 7 days, and you have witnessed what we have witnessed, and I don't even think this is a warm-up lap, gentlemen, compared to what the election is going to look like. This thing is going to be as ugly as you can imagine. And, I will tell you, I have considerable concerns, extreme concerns, that the Democrats are not going to be up for the fight and this guy is going to be reelected. And if that happens, I am deeply concerned about the future of the United States of America.
Do you think, based on the things he said to the squad about going back to where you're coming from, et cetera, that if Kamala Harris were to win the Democratic nomination, that it would help her moving forward?
No, I don't. I don't think Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be upset for me saying that, but I just don't think that she matches up well against Donald Trump. I think she would do incredibly well in the debates against him, but, that's only one piece of this puzzle. I don't think that she has the best chance of carrying the 5 key states that I've previously identified: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Florida. I just don't. I think she's a tremendous U.S. senator. I think she'd make an exceptional president. But there's not enough people that are talking about what they should be talking about as it relates to 2020. It is not about nominating the person that would make the best president. I know it sounds perverse, but it's not. This is about the matchup. We know who the opponent is going to be. The opponent is going to be Donald Trump. We know some of the conduct that he will engage in, which is basically whatever it takes to win. This guy has no boundaries, as evidenced by tonight and what's happened over the last week. And look, the Democrats have got to nominate somebody that can do battle with this guy. And this thing is going to be ugly, guys. I mean, this is not, we're not even to 2020 yet. Again, this isn't even a warm-up lap. And what we are witnessing is absolutely disgusting. And I am very concerned that this country is going to be continually torn apart.
We've had callers, Michael, in the first hour that are defending this chant, and all they want to do is talk about Omar. Look, I'm not a big fan of hers. I think she said some controversial things, but some of these people that are Trump supporters are defending it. And here's my thing. Donald Trump is up there on a stage while this chant is going on, and you're damn well right that he heard it. He could have said something. No, she's not, she's a U.S. citizen. She doesn't have to go back to her country. He could have said anything like that. But he chose not to say anything, and as you mentioned, kind of propelled it a little bit. That to me, that is what is amazing. Look, there's always going to be ignorant people out there. There's always going to be racists out there. I get that, sadly. But the fact that the president is up there and he's okay with that, clearly he's okay with it because he didn't stop him. That's the thing that gets my blood boiling, Michael.
Well, and rightfully so. I agree with you. I mean, the president of the United States is supposed to be above a lot of this, and he is supposed to be a role model for America. and he is supposed to govern all of America. You know, I remember when I went to bed on election night in November of 2016, I was in shock like so many, and I held out a little bit of hope that, in fact, the rhetoric would die down, that his ego would be placated because he had won, and that the office would change the man. But unfortunately, now we know the man is trying to change the office and America forever. And frankly, he's doing it right before our eyes.
Sadly, yeah. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Michael Avenatti. We will be taking calls coming up here at the bottom of the hour. I want to switch topics here real quickly, and I want to talk about Rand Paul, because this is a lot of people are criticizing Rand Paul, as myself. I just think, I'm just going to call him a dirtbag. I'm going to call it what it is, because of he blames fiscal responsibility, and that's why. I'm not going to say he blocked the bill, but he certainly delayed the bill today that would have helped 9/11 first responders. And Kirsten Gillibrand makes a very good point. If we remember, Rand Paul was happy to vote for Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell's $1 trillion tax handout. I mean, Michael, this is something else that, it's certainly close to my heart, as I'm sure it is yours. We want to protect our first responders, especially the 9/11 responders. And Rand Paul, I think, just did a very big disservice to all of our heroes. So what do you make of this?
Well, I agree 100%. I mean, I think also just from a political or strategic perspective, this was a really stupid decision on his part, and I think he's going to pay a significant price, at least publicly, over the next 24 to 48 hours. Whether he pays a price beyond that has yet to be seen. But if you can't get behind supporting first responders, you don't belong in the U.S. Congress or the Senate, in my view. I mean, why is this controversial? Of all things, how is it possible that this is controversial? Although, I might have said the same thing a week ago or a couple weeks ago. I would have said that it would not be controversial if a sitting U.S. president made some of the racist statements that this president has made. It would not be controversial to call him out on it. But, of course, now we've seen, where are the Republicans? Where's the Republican Party? Where are the profiles of courage? The Republican Party is absolutely sold out to Donald Trump, and it's disgusting. And I know a lot of Republicans that are disgusting, but they're silent. They're cowards.
So Ilhan Omar has said some very, very anti-Semitic things. She also has never denounced Antifa or Al-Qaeda. Do you believe that she is fit to be a congresswoman?
Look, I'll be frank. I'm not a fan. I don't agree with a number of the things that she has said. I find a number of the things that she has said absolutely disturbing. Would I vote for her? Absolutely not. I would not vote for her. Does that mean that she should be vilified by the President of the United States
exactly.
at a rally, at a rally where people are chanting, send her back, send her home?
Exactly.
Absolutely not. One does not justify the other.
Exactly. Me and Michael think alike. That is exactly what I said when me and JD got into it a little bit on the air. Okay, so we agree on that. I guess it's not a shocker. I guess we should continue to see a bunch of racist people. And again, I'm not singling out everyone that's a Trump supporter as a racist. I'm not doing that. But I think, is this what we're going to see, Michael, for the next couple of years before the elections in 2020? Should we just expect this now, that at a lot of these Trump rallies, we're going to see a bunch of racists chanting things like this? Is this where we are at right now? This is scary stuff.
Well, it's disgusting and it's frightening. And, guys, this is exactly what you're going to see. This is absolutely what you're going to see. And we've only scratched the surface. And I will tell you that in the event the Democrats nominate a minority to represent the party against this president, you're going to even see more of it.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're just joining us, Michael Avenatti will be taking some calls coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. So let's talk about the squad, right? And we've talked about Omar. We've talked about Ocasio-Cortez in the past with you. I don't agree with everything she says, but to me, this is kind of interesting, Michael. And you've criticized the Democratic Party a little bit and the squad for going after Nancy Pelosi. Right? I mean, they are going after Pelosi. They're using race as a factor here. I think that's wrong. Look, Nancy Pelosi, not a huge fan of hers either, but look, she's been there for a very, very long time. I think she is a decent woman, and I do think she cares about this country. Doesn't mean I always agree with her, and you don't always agree with her either. But what do you make of these four women going after her the way they have, and now infighting it in the Democratic Party?
Well, I don't agree with it at all. I'm not a big AOC fan. I think I've said that in the past. I mean, look, I think she's got a number of interesting ideas, and I think she's going to have a great career in politics. And I think ultimately she'll be a leader, but I'm not ready to turn the party over to her. I think that this public criticism of Nancy Pelosi by the four women, led by AOC, is strategically stupid. You know, if they have issues with her, they should be handling those issues behind closed doors. You know, gentlemen, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. He stood on a stage tonight at a rally where people basically applauded him and chanted, "Send her home." We've got serious issues in this country, and the Democrats should not be engaged in infighting publicly in an effort to go after one another right now. There's really no place for it. And again, I'm not a huge Nancy Pelosi fan either. In fact, I think that she is not doing what she should be doing right now in going after Donald Trump and leading an effort to have impeachment charges filed. And I've been very vocal about that. But is Nancy Pelosi a racist? No, she's not a racist. The mere suggestion of that is ridiculous. Is Joe Biden a racist? No, Joe Biden's not a racist either. You want to know who the racist is? The biggest racist of them all at this point? Donald Trump. That's who the racist is. That's where we need to be focusing our attention, not at infighting and taking each other down.
So socialism seems to be kind of spreading amongst young women in America right now. Do you believe that democratic socialism is a possibility in the near future?
Well, I'm certainly not supportive of it, and I I certainly hope not. You know, I think part of the problem here is that if people think that the 2020 election is going to result in some huge sea change to the far left, I mean, they're kidding themselves.
Yeah.
You know, that's just not going to happen, especially in the key electoral states.
Yeah.
And so I think that this whole idea, again, of turning the party over to AOC is a mistake. And so how do we know that? Because Donald Trump and the Republicans want to make the 2020 election about AOC. They want to define the Democratic Party by utilizing AOC. They don't want to do that because they think that it's going to be positive for the Democrats. They want to do that because they know it'll be positive for them at the ballot box.
Big mistake. They're going to lose in 2020 if that's what they're going to do. Okay, so I want to switch topics here. You held a press conference on Monday, of course, in regards to R. Kelly. This is some really good news. I know you agree on this one. He was ordered held without bond. He is behind bars, and you've stated in the past, and you continue to say it, and I agree with you on this. You know more than me on this one. You don't think he'll ever see the light of day again, correct?
No, I don't. And I've been saying that for a while. I predicted back in February there'd be additional federal charges. We've been working closely with federal prosecutors and investigators from Homeland Security, all of whom have done a remarkable job, an amazing job. These folks are dedicated to seeing that justice is done against this child predator known as R. Kelly. And that's exactly what he is. This guy's a sociopath. Should have been locked up a long time ago. I don't think he's ever going to see the light of day. And, you know, these girls are finally going to get justice.
What do you think of the dummies out there, or racists, pick or choose, that are saying that this is race-driven, that a man who has been a pedophile for so many years and abused so many underage girls, and people have the audacity, the ignorant people out there, maybe some of the same ignorant people that are, send her back. No, but people that are saying that this is a race issue, that you're going after R. Kelly, and other people are going after R. Kelly because he's an African-American. I mean, that has got to be one of the dumbest takes I have heard all year.
I agree. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. I addressed it in my press conference. You know, I'm disgusted by that attack on me, the idea that somehow that I have devoted the last 18 months, significant time during the last 18 months, to putting this guy away simply because he's black is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's even more ridiculous when you realize that every one of my 9 clients are black. Every one of my 9 clients are African American. So, these are the people that I'm advocating for. This is not about black or white. This is about right and wrong. And look, if you can't get on the side of putting away a guy who has been sexually assaulting and raping underage girls, you got a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's kind of a kind of proof that racism can come from any race. That it's not just a Caucasian to African American type of thing. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Although I think that over history, of course, Caucasians have been much more guilty of it than African Americans. But as a general proposition, I would agree with that. And again, I think this whole idea that somehow I have targeted R. Kelly because he's African American or others have, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're sticking up for and seeking justice on behalf of young African American women. How can that possibly be racist?
No, it's not at all. And anyone who thinks that way is completely and utterly ridiculous and ignorant. I want to switch topics again. If you're just joining us, Michael Avenatti joining us. We will be taking some calls coming up here in just a few minutes. Rarely have I ever seen Michael Avenatti defend Michael Cohen. Okay, I know you two guys haven't exactly gotten along, but in this case, you put out a tweet that said, I'm no fan of Michael Cohen, which I think we all would agree with. But you also said it is outrageous and bogus that he's been convicted and sent to prison for crimes directed by Donald Trump. So my question to you, Michael, is why today we find out that there is going to be no impeachment proceedings. It's not happening, right? It's just not going to happen at this point. So expand on that tweet a little bit, if you may. And what is your reaction to the fact that, again, there is going to be no impeachment?
Well, let me be clear. I'm not defending Michael Cohen. I think Michael Cohen is exactly where he should be, which is in a federal penitentiary. And I think, frankly, his sentence was far too light, and he should have been sentenced to many more years in federal prison. That's my position. But my position is that Donald Trump and his son, Don Jr., likewise should have been indicted. And they likewise should serve time in a federal penitentiary for their role in those crimes. And let's be clear, there's no question that they both have culpability in this regard, pursuant to the testimony of Michael Cohen and the documentary evidence. Don Jr. signed one of the checks. His father's involvement in this scheme, in this conspiracy, is clear as day. There's no excuse as to why each of them have not been indicted. As it relates to this impeachment vote in the House, I'm very disturbed by it. I happen to agree with you. I think the Democrats are going to take the easy way out, and I think it's strategically a very big error to not bring impeachment charges against Donald Trump. And I think ultimately the Democrats may regret that, depending on what happens in November 2020. These folks that are holding out hope that somehow that Donald Trump and his son will be indicted after Donald Trump leaves office. I think it's a bunch of BS. I don't think it's going to happen, guys.
Michael,
I just don't. Now, here's what I will say.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it should be a litmus test for the Democratic nominee, and I'm going to call on the Democratic Party to ensure that it is a litmus test. I do not think an individual should be named the nominee in 2020 unless they state unequivocally that if they were elected or when they are elected, they will ensure that Donald Trump and his son are criminally indicted and prosecuted. It should be an absolute litmus test. And if they're not willing to make that commitment, they should not be the nominee.
And in regards to this issue, I want to ask you one more question, and then we'll take a break and take some phone calls. There were 137 Democrats who joined all Republicans in voting to defeat this measure in regards to impeachment. Michael, what would be your message to those 137 Democrats?
Find a spine.
That's simple enough. Simple enough.
We'll call that straight and to the point.
That's fair.
Literally.
No, that is simple enough. Okay, Michael, I'll tell you what we are going to do. We are going to take a brief break.
And we're going to come back and we're going to talk climate change.
No, I don't want to talk about climate change. No, then we'll lose all our listeners. We'll take a quick break. Michael, we'll take some calls with you. We're joined by Michael Avenatti. If you want to be a part of the show, you want to ask Michael Avenatti a question, no holds barred here. Get in the ring with Michael Avenatti. This is why we do this. The number to call if you want to be a part of the program is 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, you want to ask Michael Avenatti a question, guess what? Now is your chance. So long as you are respectful, we will take your calls right now. 702-257-5396. 5396. Ask a question to Michael Avenatti. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this and get to your calls on the other side of the break. You are listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. By the way, tomorrow on the show, he is a national talk show host. He is way on the right. Steve Sanchez will be in studio. That'll be a good all-out brawl debate live on the air. Friday, Herman Cain will be joining us. So interesting guests coming up here in the next couple days. Certainly we have one on the line with us right now, Michael Avenatti. And a quick reminder, our show is going to be moving 9 a.m. to noon starting August 12th. And Michael has agreed to come in studio for that show. So we appreciate that. We're looking forward to that. And I know we will have some very special guests on the show that day as well. So it's going to be a good time. And we have Michael, as I said, on the air with us right now.
And I heard a dirty rumor, Michael, but are you going to start coming into studio once every 3 weeks?
That's what I heard.
If you guys will have me, I'll probably try to make the trip.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would never say no to you, Michael. So we appreciate that. So this is your chance now to get in the ring with Michael Avenatti. He'll take your questions at 257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 702-257-5396. All right, here we go. Let's lead it off with Carolyn. Carolyn, thank you for calling in. You're on with Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'd like to know if you had actually entered the race, do you think you would have been able to beat Trump, and why?
Good question.
Great question.
I do think that had I been the nominee, that I do believe that I would have been able to beat Donald Trump. And I'll tell you why. Because, I think that I have a set of skills that match up incredibly well against Donald Trump. Now, that set of skills may not match up well against other potential candidates. I was consistent in what I had said. Namely, there's a lot of people that are running, that were going to run at the time, that would make a better president than I would. They have far more policy experience, far more relevant governmental experience. But a number of those people, in my view, could not beat Donald Trump. And if you don't beat Donald Trump, then you don't get a chance to govern. And we learned that with Hillary Clinton in 2016. I mean, she was the most qualified candidate in the history of the United States to seek the office of the presidency. I don't think there's any question about that. But the problem is that she wasn't able to beat Donald Trump, at least not in the Electoral College, and therefore she never got a shot at governing. I think that the person that goes up against Donald Trump, I think it has to be a unique set of skills. I think there's a few people that have those skills that are either in the race or may get in the race. They've got to be able to go toe-to-toe with him on a debate stage. They've got to be able to trade shots with him. They've got to understand how the media works in today's day and age, and how to operate within that environment successfly, and be able to stay on message and maintain media stories and exposure.
All right.
Among other things, I think they've got to be a fighter, and they've got to be able to take a lot of punishment and dish out a lot of punishment.
Michael Avenatti joining us on the line, the number 257-5396. We have one phone line open. Let's go to Dustin. Dustin, you're on with Michael Avenatti. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, guys. Good show as usual, and
Thank you.
Congrats on the time move.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Had a question, Michael. It kind of relates to the Cohen thing. When you lost the lawsuit to Stormy Daniels, you said it wasn't that big a deal because you had the NDA suit going, and that she would eventually get like $1.5 million from Trump. Is that NDA still going on? Is it active, or did the judge rule on it?
So thank you for the question. So we had two suits. The first suit, and the suit that was the main suit, was always the NDA suit. That was the suit that involved Michael Cohen, the campaign finance violations and the like. That is the suit that we filed in early March. Subsequent to that, we filed the defamation suit, which the court threw out and which is now up on appeal. and that's the suit in which Stormy was ordered to pay his attorney's fees. And I've said all along that I think that suit's going to come back, and that's never going to hold up. As it relates to the NDA suit, we basically won that suit. We got everything we wanted in connection with that, namely, eventually Cohen and Trump capitulated. They agreed to disregard the NDA. We wanted to continue to seek some discovery against the president. The judge ruled against us in that regard. And now that issue of attorney's fees and costs is still hanging out there and hasn't been adjudicated or decided yet. So I still maintain that Stormy is going to come out ahead in connection with both cases.
All right, the number to call again, 702-257-5396. Our guest is Michael Avenatti. If you want to get in the ring with him, give us a buzz. Our next caller is Steve, I believe. Steve, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Big fan. Listen, I saw you in, I think it was 4-1 in Santa Ana after your court appearance, and you were on the microphones. I was the one that yelled out to you that you should be locked up and you should pay your ex-wife. I just wanted to hear the reason why I shouldn't follow you to every press conference you do and do the same thing.
Steve, did you really do that?
Did you really do that?
Did you really do that? Okay, well, Steve, I think you're an absolute loser. First of all, get a life. I'll let Michael respond, but what kind of loser shows up at press conferences and has nothing better to do with their time than to scream stuff out? Steve is a loser.
And then he masks it by saying, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Steve, what a loser you are. And he's probably got a Justin Bieber poster in his room, and he probably goes to Bieber shows and screams at Bieber, too. Anyway, I'm sorry, Michael. I went on a tangent there. You can respond to that if you want to.
Hey, Steve, if you want an autograph and a kiss on the cheek, why don't you just ask for
it? You know what, Michael? The sad thing, Steve reminds me of one of those guys. You ever watch that show To Catch a Predator? He reminds me of, he's one of those guys. He's the guys that shows up. That's Steve for you. Anyway, 257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Larry. Larry, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Doing good, man. You're on with Michael Avenatti. What you got?
Hi, Mike. Hey, I want to say that I think even with Michael Avenatti on the ticket, the rest of those bums on the Democratic side, all 20 of them on one ticket could not beat Trump. That's a fact. And, Michael, you have no chance at all in the ring with Donald. You know doggone well you have no chance at all. Brian, why did you have this guy on your show all the time?
Okay, well, I will address that. Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to keep you on the phone, Larry, and then I'm going to let Michael respond.
All those guys,
Larry,
Trump.
Larry,
on one ticket, they could.
Larry, are you going to stop talking? I'm going to keep you on the line. I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm going to answer your question. Then we're going to let Michael answer your question, and then I will let you respond. Does that sound fair? Okay.
Right.
First of all, I'll tell you why.
Larry, I want to ask
Michael. Let me just respond to Larry why I have you on the show. I'll tell you why I have Michael Avenatti on the show. He's extremely intelligent. He is very accomplished. He is very entertaining. Those are three really, really good reasons. I'm sorry, Larry, if you don't like it, but guess what? You're the one who called into the show. You're the one who's listening, so obviously it's working. Now I'm going to let Michael respond. Go ahead, Michael.
All right. So, Larry, I appreciate the question. I appreciate you calling in. I want to
Did you not lie on the Cabinetti's hearing?
All right, hang up on him. Hang up on him. Larry, yeah, we had a deal. You were going to allow Michael. See, this is what these people do. They call in. I was going to keep him on. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was going to ask him what he thought of Steve Bannon, whether he thought that Steve Bannon was a really good political strategist and was critical to Donald Trump's 2016 election. And then I was going to ask him if he knew what Steve Bannon had said in the summer of last year on Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Steve Bannon said point blank when he was asked who the best opponent would be in 2020 for Donald Trump, you know who he identified? He identified me. Yeah. And he said that if Bernie Sanders had, I think it was 1% of my fearlessness, he would have been a real problem against Donald Trump in 2016. So, look, there's a reason why the right went after me. There's a reason why Trump went after me. And the reason is because they knew that I was a threat, because I was a threat. And I represented a lot of things that they didn't know how to deal with, frankly. Mm-hmm. So, look, I think I would have given Trump a run for his money. I don't think that this guy would want to face me on a debate stage or in that race in any way, shape, or form. And I think I would have kicked his ass. I think he would have been completely outclassed, frankly.
I agree.
So, you know, why do I think I had a shot? Well, guess what? I wasn't alone in thinking that I had a shot. There were a lot of people that seemed to be very concerned about me potentially getting in the race.
No doubt.
And Steve, this is JD, Brian's co-host here. One of the reasons why we have Michael on the show is he is arguably the most publicized attorney in the United States right now.
On the planet.
If not on the planet.
257-5396. Let's go to Ari. Ari, you're next. You're on with Michael. Go.
Hey, Michael, you've had a lot of allegations, very serious against you. Have you ever considered showing some humility and perhaps putting it out there that you are maybe guilty of some of these? I mean, America goes a long way towards forgiving people, and all I've seen from you is this fight back that you have, which would be good in the political ring, but when you're facing these kind of allegations, why not show some humility?
All right, Ari, we'll let him answer. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I think I have shown some humility, Ari, and why don't you go and take a look at the CNN interview that I did with Sarah Seidner in the weeks following my arrest. And, I thought that I was very candid during that video interview. Make sure you look at the lengthy one that I gave. I'm sure you can find it on their website. And I think that you'll see, aspects of me that you haven't necessarily seen in the past. But the reason why I'm taking the position that I am is because I expect to be exonerated in these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to fight like hell because I've got a lot at stake right now. That's why.
If you believe you're innocent, why on earth would you admit to any guilt? That doesn't make any sense to me, and you've maintained your innocence constantly on a daily basis. 257-5396. Let's go to Andrew. Andrew, you're next. Go. You're on with Michael Avenatti.
Hey, am I on? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
All right. Nice to meet you, Michael. I just have one question. Are you interested in cock and ball torture?
All right. Bye-bye. See you later. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Tim. Tim, what's going on? You're next on with Michael Avenatti.
Yeah, Michael, you made a statement that Nike couldn't control you, and in the indictment, they quote you saying, if Nike wants to have one confidential settlement and we're done, they can buy that for $22.5 million and we're done, full confidentiality, and we ride off into the sunset. What did you mean by that?
Michael, go ahead.
Well, look, I'm going to be clear, and I've said this repeatedly in the past. I am not at liberty to get into the details of the allegations in these cases, and I would have to be an absolute moron to do it on radio with these trials pending. So I'm not going to do it. But, Larry, I'm glad that you are paying very close attention to the filings in my cases. Make sure you do that in the coming months, and make sure that you pay very close attention when we ultimately go to trial, because I'm confident that each and every jury that judges my conduct will come down on my side.
Michael,
so pay attention, Larry.
You know what I'm wondering, Michael? I'm wondering if some of these people, if you are found not guilty, and certainly we hope that's the case, I'm wondering if these people will call in and say, congratulations, Michael, I was wrong. You know what? Because I bet you they won't. Because a lot of these people are imbeciles or Trump supporters. See, that's my issue. If you want to be fair, let's wait and see what happens. And if Michael is found not guilty of these charges, how about you call in and say, you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong of the way I felt about you. That's something called character, but I don't think that last gentleman will do that, because every week he calls in and he asks you all these specific questions about all these cases, which clearly you can't answer. Okay, and you're right. A bad attorney or a moron would answer those questions. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff, you're next. You're on with Michael Avenatti. Go.
Hey, Michael, I wanted to first off commend you for your work with the R. Kelly getting the tape to law enforcement and your contributions there, because that was really quite a thing. I did want to ask you in relationship to those tapes, because I know that you shared them with CNN and Sarah Seidner before you took them to law enforcement. Is there any legal or ethical issues that raises, or could it potentially jeopardize the cases?
Well, first of all, it's not established that I shared the tapes with CNN or Sarah Seidner. That's number one. Number two, even if I had, it could not jeopardize the cases in any way, shape, or form. The tapes are what the tapes are, period. There's no question as to the chain of custody, and any allegations of the contrary are not going to go anywhere.
And again, I think it's very important to note that R. Kelly most likely, at least we hope, will be behind bars for the rest of his life. That is absolutely, positively where he belongs, and race is absolutely no factor. As Michael said, he represents, I believe, 9 clients that are African Americans. So that is just one of the most ridiculous takes I've heard in a very long time. 257-5396. John, you're on next with Michael Avenatti. Go.
I love the show, and as an independent voter, thank you very much, Michael, for coming on board with this and talking with us in Las Vegas. Thank you. My question is this. How do you feel about the Electoral College in regards to a lot of people talking about the abolishment of it and going to a popular vote? And how could you speak on it if you did support it to states that might be marginalized or overlooked?
Really good question, John, and I appreciate the call. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, no, excellent question. Thanks for calling in, John. I support the abolishment of the Electoral College, but I think it's going to be a very, very difficult road to hoe, and I don't know if anyone will ultimately be able to accomplish that task for a number of reasons, starting with, I think the Republicans will fight like hell to ensure that does not occur because of the ramifications at the national level as it relates to presidential elections. I think the Republicans recognize that they could have a very, very difficult time winning the White House were the Electoral College to be abolished. I think that this concern about underrepresentation in today's day and age in our society, I think it's overblown. I think even if we did abolish the Electoral College, that does not or would not mean that other states or that states would be marginalized that have less of a population than other states. I just don't believe that concern is as important as perhaps it was at times past.
Before we get back to the calls, and our phone lines are jammed here, I had a conversation, Michael, with somebody the other day, and I said, look, the bottom line is the majority of Americans voted for Hillary Clinton. And the response I got from this gentleman was, millions of people voted illegally. And I looked at him and I said, there's no proof of that. Where are you getting this from? If a Republican made that same argument to you, what would you say?
Well, I would say the exact same thing. I would say there is no proof of that. But gentlemen, herein lies the problem. And this is one example, and there's many examples. I've used the example in the past about, Trump's claims about, babies being ripped from their mothers or taken from their mothers immediately after birth, and the mother and the doctor agree to basically kill the baby. And Trump has used this accusation as it relates to the issue of abortion, and it's patently false. But guys, here's what you got to understand. We all dismiss a lot of these things as just ridiculous, out of hand. But there's tens of millions of people in America that when the president makes these accusations or claims, they believe that. And when he continually makes these accusations and these claims, it further entrenches their belief in them. And it's a significant problem because you're not going to convince a lot of these people that what Trump said was not true, that it was an absolute lie. A lot of these people believe this stuff. And we're not talking about thousands. We're talking about tens of millions of people.
Oh, no doubt. I agree completely. Okay, so the phone lines are jammed. We got about 10 more minutes here. We'll try to get to as many of you as we can. Let's go to Gary. Gary, what's going on? Thanks for calling in. What's up, Gary?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Michael, are you interested in cock and ball torture?
Oh, okay. We got more prank phone callers. That's fine. 257-5396. Let's go to Courtney. Courtney, you're on with Michael Avenatti. Go.
Hey, guys. Okay, my question is this. Well, first, let me say this. I despise Trump with everything that I am. However, I do believe that he is going to win the next election. I was actually one of the few people that I know that predicted he would win this last election. And I believe that for a number of reasons. I believe that our voting machines are compromised, and I don't believe that a lot of people are paying attention to that. That being said, Michael, what do you think is going on with Nancy Pelosi?
Good question, Courtney. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, good question, Courtney. Here's my take. I think that Nancy Pelosi has determined in her mind that it is better for the Democrats, and they will have a better shot of beating him in 2020 if they do not seek to impeach Trump. I believe that she has concluded that were impeachment charges to be passed and were Trump to face a trial in the Senate, that would embolden his base and create the opportunity for him to demonize the Democrats and to utilize that as a campaign tool. He's going to do that anyway. I disagree with this mentality. I don't think that we can predict exactly what's going to happen in the Senate. I think it's unlikely that the Senate would impeach him. But you never know. I mean, I've participated in enough trials to know all kinds of things happen in trials that you can't predict. You don't know how people are going to testify. You don't know how the evidence is going to come in.
There you go.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So I disagree with her approach. I think the better approach is to be as aggressive as possible, to hold this guy's feet to the fire, make him stand trial in the Senate, and if it's during the election, so be it. I don't agree with her approach, but I think that that's what is going on. I think that she has made the decision that strategically it's better not to do it, and I think it's very dangerous. It's very similar to President Obama and the administration deciding that it was better not to alert the electorate to the Russian interference because Hillary was going to win. That it was better not to ask for an up and down vote about Garland and really pressure the Republicans because it'd be better if Garland was appointed by Hillary after she won. And we all know how that worked out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Another example of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. 257-5396. Let's go to Alyssa. Alyssa, you're on with Michael Avenatti. Alyssa?
Hello?
Yes, Alyssa, you're on with Michael. Go.
Yes, hi. I'd like to know if he didn't commit these domestic violence crimes with his ex-girlfriend, why did they break up then? And why would she lie?
Wait, hold on a second. Let me just. So if you break up with a girl, it has to be because of domestic violence? Alyssa, with all due respect, you're not making any sense. Well, then ask something. Okay, well, then what? First of all, there was no. He wasn't convicted of anything. In fact, he was never even brought to any charges. There were no charges. So why would you even?
Why would she go and say all of that?
Because sometimes people don't tell the truth. Why even make him answer that? Why, is that the best question you could come up with? Really,
yes,
Alyssa?
I'm very concerned. I'm concerned for other women.
Are you concerned about Donald Trump? Are you concerned about the 18 women that have come forth in regards to Donald Trump?
I'm not asking about Trump.
But I'm asking that. But I'm asking that. I'm asking that. Answer the question. I'm asking that. If you want to ask him a question, are you concerned about the 18 women in regards to Donald Trump? Yes or no?
I'm not a supporter of Trump. What does that have to do with?
It's a yes or no question.
No.
You're not concerned. Okay, well, we just established that you're a biased buffoon, and I'm not even going to have Michael answer that question. Let's go to Paul, 257-5396. Paul, you're next.
Hi, Michael. Have you prepared your clients that you're about to be lose your law license?
Okay, Paul. Have a nice day. 257-5396 is the number to call. I believe our next caller.
By the way, can I just jump in here, guys?
Sure. Go ahead.
You want to know the best evidence that I'm a threat to what Trump represents and what Trump is? You want to know the best evidence of that?
Let's hear it.
All these trolls and all these people that want to call in and attack me and go after me on Twitter. Listen, if I wasn't a threat, if I was a nobody, if I was irrelevant, if they weren't concerned, they wouldn't be following me around the city to press conferences. They wouldn't be calling in, making these outlandish statements. Look, they would think I was a nobody. So guess what? If you're listening, you are proving my point.
That's true.
You hate me because I scare the shit out of you. That's why you hate me.
That's true. I'm not going to argue that point, but isn't it
definitely hard to argue
Michael,
that.
didn't I just, the point is so, a woman calls up, you've never been charged with domestic violence. You have at least 18 women. Some have claimed that Donald Trump raped them. And she has no concern over that. But her concern is calling into a show and saying, domestic dispute, which you were never charged with anything. I think that speaks volumes to how biased and ignorant some people are in this political spectrum. Let's take a couple more quick phone calls. Let's go to Angela. Angela, you're on with Michael Avenatti. Go. Angela, are you there? I believe we lost Angela. I believe Dale is our next caller. Dale, you're on with Michael Avenatti. What's going on?
Okay, hi. I appreciate the toned down show for a little bit here. I have a question. I think most politicians dance around the truth sometimes. What do you think the worst lie that Obama told, assuming that he told any, and then compare that to the worst lie that, say, Trump might have told and the damage that it might have done to either the image of the presidency or the country or whatever? I'd just like to have.
That's a good question, Dale. I appreciate that question. Michael, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I do think that's a good question. It's a tough question. I can't think of a particular lie that Obama told, but I want to be clear about something. I'm sure he told a number of them. In fact, I know he did. So I'm not suggesting that he didn't. I just, as I sit here right now, I can't think of a particular lie that he told and the ramifications of that lie, but I'm sure that he did tell lies while he was in the White House, and I'm sure that they had significant ramifications. And we know that Trump has done the same. But here's what I will say. I don't think that anyone can argue, unless they're just absolutely biased, that there has been any modern-day president that has done more to harm the office of the presidency than Donald Trump. I mean, this man has demeaned the office, and, he has done, hopefully not, but he may have done permanent damage to the presidency of the United States. I hope not, but he may have, and if he's elected again, he certainly will do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess this is why we call it In the Ring with Michael Avenatti. We took some of your supporters, and we took some other callers that are not some of your supporters, but you always do a great job, Michael, in handling them, and we always appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us, as always, Michael, and can't wait to do it again next week, my friend, and we look forward to having you in studio. Thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just say, Steve, if you're still listening, trust me, I'm going to get you that autograph, and I'm going to get you that kiss on the cheek. Okay, big boy?
I know Steve would appreciate that. Michael, thanks so much, my man. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Michael.
Take care.
Bye-bye. I love it. I love it. Can you imagine that, though? Seriously, JD. There is a grown man who shows up to Michael Avenatti press conferences screaming stuff at him. That there are people out there in the world that do that.
And he has a plan to go to every single press conference Michael Avenatti has in the near future and do the exact same thing. But he's totally right.
And then you have a woman calling in.
People would not spend the time. Yeah. They would not spend the time on doing these things if he didn't matter, if he wasn't relevant on a national spectrum, if he legitimately was not a threat to Donald Trump. And, I mean, he kind of is.
And then you have a woman calling in that asking about domestic violence when he never was charged with anything. And then I ask her a very simple question about Donald Trump and the 18-plus women that have accused Donald Trump.
He should have said, well, she chose the wrong movie.
Yeah, ridiculous. Anyway, we appreciate Michael Avenatti taking some time to join us. Tomorrow on the show, right-wing national talk show host Steve Sanchez, who's going to be replacing our show this hour. He is going to be in studio tomorrow along with Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. So trust me, folks. If you thought today there were some spars thrown on the air, we're going to get plenty of them tomorrow. I promise you that. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate that. Check out our Twitter account at The Vegas Take. The legend himself, Ken Thompson, will be next. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow night, everybody. Have a great night.